So, this is my third video for Fits, our monthly philosophy discussion group. Last month we decided that philosophy is meant to be applied, and that applied philosophy looked like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, etc. It's fortunate that we decided on Aristotle's virtue ethics as our next subject, as virtue ethics is basically the philosophical framework behind our examples last month. Aristotle is the ideal lecturer. He spends the entirety of his first book identifying a foundation. He doesn't make one, he observes it, which is an important distinction from Enlightenment philosophers, which I'm sure we'll talk about some other month. Then, in Book 2, he uses reason to flesh out the foundation and begins to give basic examples to illustrate his point from the first book. He then follows his foundation to its logical conclusions in the following 8 books. I don't know if I agree with those books insofar as that they necessarily flow from the foundation. He was definitely an Athenian. However, depending on one's interpretation of the first 2 books, I think they're just about spot on. Book 1 starts with a teleological observation. Basically it says that all human endeavors are targeted toward an end which is good. A way to explain this is through a brief Socratic conversation. If any of you remember Mimsy and Max, I think was the name of it, from the Animaniacs cartoon series, it's going to sound just like that. Why are you going to the gym? To be more fit. Why do you want to be more fit? To be healthy. Why do you want to be more healthy? So I can live longer and have more energy. Why do you want to live longer and have more energy? Because that is a happy life. Why do you want a happy life? Because I do? So according to this observation, everyone is somehow pre-programmed to pursue eudaimonia, which roughly translates to fruitful happiness. If you look at a role model you have, you can see that you selected them as good because they were some form of eudaimon, or a fruitfully happy person. If not, you may be a sociopath and you might want to get that checked out. Aristotle basically says that felicity, eudaimonia, fruitfulness, they're all, the same idea. He doesn't really have a word that translates into English all that well. But Aristotle basically says that eudaimonia is the way to optimize happiness as feeling good. He appears to skip the key Socratic distinction, which is, does it make me happy because it's good, or is it good because it makes me happy? Depending on the answer, the following 8 books may or may not have any bearing on the foundation itself. Reading the other 8 books, I believe that he thought it made us happy because it is good, not the other way around. Here's an interesting take on what he said, though. It requires a little bit of a history lesson first. Hedonism. Hedonism essentially asserts that pleasure is the ultimate good and should be pursued constantly. The school of hedonism was founded roughly 400 BC. The Nicomachean Ethics, the book that we're reading now, was written about 50 years later. Epicureanism emerged about 50 years after that, in 300 BC. Now, Epicureanism is basically a pragmatic approach to hedonism. Why am I listing these 3? Why is Aristotle an observational rationalist clumped in with a bunch of drunken skeptics? Well, now it's time to put on your conspiracy hats. On this most recent of my rereadings of books 1 and 2 in the Nicomachean Ethics, it sounded almost as if Aristotle was saying all things strive for the good because they desire good. And I found myself thinking, I like video games, alcohol, sex. Those are all good. Then it hit me. If I manage my affairs and behavior such as to follow the model of virtue in Book 2, I will optimize my ability to pursue these goods throughout my life. Aristotle sounds like hedonism with a dash of utility and a helping of reason. Then, 50 years later, someone reads the first 2 books, like I did, and founds a school which still exists today, Epicureanism, which basically says if you pursue the pleasures and hedonism relentlessly, you're going to burn yourself out pretty quick, and you're not going to have much fun. For instance, if I have a party tonight, tomorrow I'm going to be hungover. But if I experience enough of a party to have fun, but not enough of a party to have a miserable day the next day, I can have a party the next day. And ultimately, you have more pleasure over the extended period of time if you kind of, mellow out a little bit. So, if anyone has any comments or arguments, I would really like to hear what you have to say. Comments in the Facebook group, Lorem Fundamentum Nobis Stari, comments down below, or the best option, a response video. I'll see you guys next week. But